Hey, J-Bone Nation! Shaming of Jay. He's not a dopey dumb bitch. He gets laid. The court jester, the court DJ. It's time to dive into the case. To the case.
What's up, folks? We are back. We are back.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Woo!
You ready for this afternoon, Sash Bob?
You know, man.
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna just be this guy on cross the entire time now for this afternoon.
God, I hope not. Like he's been a very he makes for a very slow day of court. Yeah, I had a nice tasty lunch, rejuvenated, and I mean I'm ready. I'm ready for some fireworks. So some fireworks would be good.
We might get some.
I mean, hopefully, because have we even started the cross yet?
No, we haven't started the cross yet.
Oh man,
I don't think they're even done with direct. I don't think they were done with direct before we even.
Yeah, I think she said that there's another slide or before we go to the next slide.
Ugh.
So, I mean, look, State's going to put their case on. So we'll have to struggle through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So thanks for sticking with us, guys. Don't worry, it'll get better. And also, we're going to be covering Karen Reed, and that's going to be a whole. And that has good cameras. Like
Banger.
Better than when it started the cameras, but that's going to have a camera like on people. This is like.
Yeah,
this is a little different, but
I see the Chad clips has started to shift a little bit. Like I can almost see his face now. So
it almost looks like he has the Simpsons clouds in the background there.
It does. Yeah, for real. Those almost look cartoon-like.
Is that like a wallpaper or something, or is that legit what's in the background?
That looks crazy. That looks like when you watch that Fallback show, because they're living in like vaults, underground vaults, and they have like images like that. So it kind of looks like they're outside and there's like a sun, there's like sunscapes and shit like that. That's what really, it does look cartoony.
Huh. We'll see if that's actually, it must be like a background, but I guess we'll
see. That's got to be a background.
Yeah, that's not the outside.
That looks amazing though. That's a nice little feature.
It's cool.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're back. Let's see what goes on here.
On the record on CR 2221-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell, there is an issue that may come up in cross. Let me first ask Mr. Wood, do you believe you'll be done with direct in order to get to cross this afternoon with your witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I do think that's appropriate suggestion. First of all, the jurors are not present. The court will hear a motion in limine briefly.
Oh, Bob,
on an issue that may relate to cross-examination. I will ask that if Detective Considius, if you could step down for a moment and step out. We'll argue this motion as it relates to an evidentiary issue and then have you return in the jurors once we've made a ruling on that.
Get out of here,
Interesting.
jabroni.
Yeah. All right. This is exciting.
Motion from the defense. I hear an evidentiary issue on a motion from the defense, I believe, as it relates to purchase of firearms. Mr. Pryor.
One of the concerns, Judge, is that this officer testified that he had appeared that his Mr. Cox's searches for firearms started in 2019. Now, I have other evidence that's already been admitted for as far as exhibits under previously admitted 34. I'm going to ask that the rest of 34, I believe that's H through J, be admitted as well, and it was by stipulation of the parties that was previously stipulated to being admitted. But the difficulty is that if I start inquiring of the officer about Alex Cox's ability to purchase firearms, and that may have been a reason why he hasn't been so rigorous in having those, and whether he could possess those, Judge, there's a chance that Alex Cox's felony conviction for the 2007 crime could come into play. And I just want some guidance from the court. I wouldn't characterize this a motion in limine. I don't want to get sideways with the court's ruling, and this is going to be walking a tightrope here, and my instincts tell me that there's a likelihood that could come out, Judge.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pryor. What's the response to the state? And the court will note I previously entered a ruling that the 2007 apparently felony case or conviction involving Alex Cox and Joe Ryan was irrelevant in this case. Hence the concern of the defense if it comes out that there was a felony conviction that may have prevented lawful purchase of firearms. I don't have that information before me, but if it's an appropriate area of cross, it may come in. So how does the state respond?
Your Honor, the state still sees this situation the exact same. The 2007 event is still very attenuated by time. It's the state's understanding that there was a withheld judgment, and as such, Mr. Cox was able to legally purchase firearms. And so I don't know how that would affect anything related to this case. If he was able to legally purchase the firearms, and honestly, even if he wasn't able.
Just pausing this real quick. Sheila Duffy, if you're here, thanks for tagging me in this tweet regarding Karen Reed. They have selected 9 to 10 jurors so far in this case.
Holy shit!
4 yesterday, 5 to 6 today. We are not 100% certain about the 10th one, but there are only 3 left in the room to choose from. We'll update in a few minutes. So thank you, Sheila, for tagging me in that. It's going fast, folks. So
wow,
you're going to want to be with us tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, where we give you a little background if you're not familiar with the case.
Wow, dude.
I mean, could they be starting by Friday, bro, you think? Or,
I mean, like
Monday?
I think. I mean, I don't know if I'm the judge. I'm just saying, you know what? Let's kick it over the weekend.
Right.
Give the jury this last breather, and then boom, Monday we hit the ground running.
That would work for us because on Tuesday Shannon gets back and Allie and I can start doing the updates on the app. That would be great if they.
Yeah, that would be. Damn,
Well,
dude.
too, I don't know that would make a difference when it comes to
way faster than this trial took to pick a jury.
Way
bringing in a 2007 event. Again, the state's understanding is he was able to legally purchase those firearms. And so we believe that the standing or the ruling from the court before under Rule 401 and 403 should stand. It's too attenuated by time to be relevant to this case.
Judge, in response, I guess my concern is not necessarily openly pursuing that because you already told me I can't. My concern is that if I ask this witness, is there anything that was preventing Alex Cox from purchasing firearms prior to 2019? If this officer testifies, and I guess if someone wants to let him know and say, no, I don't know anything about it, I guess that solves the problem. But at this point, I don't know what the officer is going to say. If he says, I don't know, I guess the inquiry is over, isn't it?
Well, it may be. And so on the issue, first I'll note under the State versus Ochoa case 169-903, the court has broad discretion to admit or exclude evidence, and I have to consider under 401 and 403 what's relevant in a balancing test. I've done that previously as it relates to just sua sponte bringing up this 2007 conviction. I would note, however, though, that if there is a proper line of inquiry on cross that goes back to that time frame, then there may well be a relevance if part of the state's allegation was that the time frame of firearm purchases started at a certain time. I don't have any idea what this witness, Detective Considas, may or may not know about Alex Cox's previous criminal history, whether there was a felony conviction, a withheld judgment, when that would have occurred, when he may or may not have been prohibited from purchasing firearms, but it could well be relevant to the issue at hand. What I would rule here is a narrowing instruction that if the matter comes up and you want to inquire, Mr. Pryor, you can just ask in general terms if you're aware if Alex Cox did have a felony conviction that prevented him from purchasing firearms, but not go into the details about who the victim was or what the conviction would have been, and if he knows a history of whether the felony resulted in a withheld judgment or whether Alex Cox had any sort of lawful prohibition against purchasing firearms. So as far as keeping it general, if it goes there and he knows, I would permit that. Otherwise, if he doesn't know, then again, the topic I've already ruled would not be relevant for trial. So that's how we'll proceed, with just a limiting instruction that you could inquire, but not in detail about who the victim may have been.
And Judge, I just want to make it clear that I'm permitted then to ask this officer whether or not he's familiar, if at any time there was anything preventing Alex Cox prior to 2019 from purchasing firearms, or was there any felony conviction? Is that where the court will allow me to go?
I would permit that. I think that may be a relevant line of inquiry. So that'll be the court's ruling on the matter. I will deem that to be a motion in limine ruling. With that concluded, then we can have the detective return to the courtroom and the jurors brought in, please.
All right. This judge is he's a good judge, boys. Like I found that his rulings are pretty spot on for the most part. I mean, this is a very quiet trial. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no tomfoolery, shenanigans, ballyhoo. None of that stuff is going on. It's just like I mean, the courtroom's dead silent. We don't have any of that. Like, I mean, obviously that's not within his control, but you know, like clearly he realized that, you know, the setup initially sucked, that the sound was no good. So he's, you know, but like his control of the courtroom
on the stand
decisions have been really good.
Yeah, and if you want to see the antithesis of that, if you want to see, have you seen any of these clips from the Young Thug trial, Bob? Holy shit.
Oh, God, dude.
Today, I don't know if I just saw it today. Today, the judge and the prosecutor are like yelling at each other about I don't know what it was about, where you know, it was, I think that the prosecution was trying to get something in late and they keep doing it. It's, by the way, it's like day 61. And he's like,
out of like a year, they're talking that thing's going to take a year.
It's going to be till like 2025. It's insane. But so like they're screaming at each other to the point where he's finally like, all right, well, the jury, come on in. Like he tells the jury to come in, and then they like, she's still going at him, and he's like, jury's here, and she like it's wild. I've never seen anything like. And we started covering that, but like I'm glad I jumped ship, because we like it is. It's about a judge who has lost control of the court.
Long, dude. Like that, it's like, and it's a RICO. Like RICO cases are, because you've got multiple defendants, which means multiple defense attorneys, which means multiple crosses. Yeah, dude, it's like that thing is going to take forever, and it's like those cases are tough. Like for the prosecution, they're just really hard to try. You know, like I was doing a lot of law and crime coverage and court TV coverage with that case when it first started, and people were like they were like, hey, you know what? Like, I know Law and Crime's still streaming it, but I don't know that they're actively, like, no one's really actively covering it. You know, it's just too It's too much. It's too
It's-
long.
Yeah.
Doing in direct examination. I'll remind the detective he's still under oath. Also, for those in attendance today, the courtroom conduct order remains in effect through the afternoon. We'll continue at this time then with additional direct examination. Mr. Wood.
Your Honor, the state has no further questions for this witness at this time.
Okay, then
right.
Mr. Pryor, cross-examination.
All right, cross, folks. Here we go.
Woo!
Maybe we can get this guy off. Although this is going to be, I feel like this is going to be a long cross.
I'm going to ask if that was on the record, and if it is,
I mean,
Your Honor, I'm going to ask
don't
if that
know.
was on the record.
I
You don't
think
think so?
Pryor could probably handle it in like 4 questions. Like, cause I don't know how much we heard connecting this fraud to Daybell. You know, like I don't know.
Let's
There
see,
was-
folks.
There's some, yeah. Let's see where he goes with it.
And if it is, I'm going to move to strike it.
I didn't hear what was said. I apologize.
Judge, I had
It's on the
comment.
sidebar.
Sidebar. Oh, my God. Well, you know what that means. Do your shots, folks.
Oh, sidebar.
You could just bear with me, Detective. I apologize for.
And they're already back.
If you could just bear with me, Detective. I apologize for.
And Mr. Pryor, make sure your mic's turned on.
People are still asking about our amazing stepbrothers picture.
That, by the way, folks,
verifies it.
I'll have to share like the full thing. But Mandy used Bob. Don't listen to earmuffs. She used AI to put our faces. It's so good. She did such a good job making.
So it's hilarious.
It's the best.
And I have to say that I am thrilled with which stepbrother I got to be.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to Mandy who like makes our thumbnails, makes graphics, emojis, all that stuff. She's always keeping that stuff in check.
She's
So
amazing.
thank you, Mandy.
And we love you, Mandy. All these guys. I know Jay can't do this guy, but I can do. I crush the hand hearts.
So, Detective, I'm going to
I
bounce
rock
around a
on the
little
work.
bit. Do you mind?
Hey, my guy.
No.
Look at you.
Okay.
All grown up. If I had you right near me, I'd hold you. All grown up.
By all
day.
indications of what
Grown
you've
up.
testified today, it appears that Alex Cox and Lori Vallow had a very close relationship. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay. They shared multiple accounts, and by your count, how many accounts did they share together?
I believe it was just that one Barclays credit card account.
Oh, I was under the impression there were a couple of bank accounts that they shared together in addition to credit cards. Is that right? Do you need to refresh your recollection?
Yes, please.
By whatever it takes. Do you have your book up there? Mr. Wood has it.
We'll have the bailiff deliver those exhibits to the witness, please.
Take whatever time you need, officer, as well, okay?
I can recollect that there's only the one account. I believe I can recollect that there's only the one account, the Barclays credit card that she was on Alex's account.
And was Alex on any of her accounts?
Blasting
believe so.
through, taking
Okay,
a jury
I may
room.
have misunderstood your testimony then. Now, you went over a timeline, and I think it was 303 was the timeline. Do you recall that?
Yes,
If I could.
And please indicate what you're publishing there, Mr. Pryor.
I think it's 303, Judge. The exhibit, Mr. Wood.
All right, exhibit 303, that's being published.
Ready to get that where we are here. Okay. So I'm looking at 303, and it talks about Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow met in 2018. Correct?
correct.
Okay, and then there was a flight to Mesa, Arizona on 1/6 of 2019. You see
Correct.
that? Was that a business trip for Mr. Daybell, do you know?
I don't.
Do you know whether or not he was appearing at a podcast on that day?
I have no information of that.
Okay. And then we go to 3/19/2019. Are you aware that Mr. Daybell may have been on a business trip that day?
I was unaware.
Okay. Were you aware of what Mr. Daybell's occupation is?
He owned a Spring Creek Books
Okay.
book
Published
company.
books, right?
Books, sells books,
Right.
did some podcasting, and he also spoke at some events.
Right.
Yeah.
So he would travel on occasion, and you saw a history of that as well, that he would travel and go to various locations for various reasons, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we don't know what the purpose of that is. What we know is that he met Lori Vallow in October of 2018, and that he traveled for a couple of trips. Okay. And then on the same timeline, you put Charles Vallow's death back on July 11th of 2019. Mr. Daybell traveling twice, what does that have to do with Charles Vallow's death?
Doesn't have anything to do with Charles Vallow's death.
So why'd you put it on this timeline?
Just to show it from January of 2019 across the entire year.
Or was it just to get a reaction from the jury so that they would say, oh my goodness, he's traveling and he must be going to see someone, even though you don't even know what he was going for, right?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained. Counsel, apparently we need a brief sidebar quickly. Sorry.
Sidebar. Yeah.
We got on the sidebar.
Indeed we do, my friend. Indeed we do.
Oh, what's they do just up there? What the fuck? This is an extended one.
No, they just got up there, like literally.
And we're back to live. All right, let me do the shots. I didn't even do
And
that.
interestingly, the judge is the one who asked for the sidebar, not either of the attorneys.
Here's another one I got for you folks.
Mean that you can't answer it?
It's a bullshit question. It's impossible to answer.
Impossible, but
Name that movie. First one to get it gets a high five, virtual high five. High five.
Who's gonna get it?
Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna get it? This is exciting, Jay. Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna get it?
Oh, someone with
Who-
my.
Chrissy.
Oh, Amy gets it.
Amy P from New Jersey.
Come on down.
Come on down. The price is right. Look.
That one's really
Oh.
loud.
Yeah, that one's a banger. Look at this fabulous showcase filled with amazing prizes. A new car.
Did you guys know a little fact about Chadley here? Did you guys know that he was pissed when he was still married to Tammy that she was playing, like, I think it was Farmville. I don't know. It was some sort of game she was playing on her phone. He was pissed that she was playing it too much. So he made us, one of his stories about like talking, and he told her mom that like she was on the phone too much because a spirit told, like, instead of just saying, hey babe, I want to, he's such a fucking piece of garbage.
Jesus, that
And
guy.
he's so uncharismatic and dumb. Like, it's just
That's such a fucking huge head.
He also has a massive head.
I just can't get enough of his pumpkin head and just talk about that massive dome.
Farmville.
Farmville, yeah. I mean, Farmville's delightful little game. Yeah.
Does Allie have any games that she plays on the phone, or is she just writing appeals?
Yeah. Well, Allie's game is playing online poker.
Oh, nice.
Except she doesn't play against real, like for real money. Like, so she doesn't go to like online poker sites. She plays like against other players with like fake chips that she has to pay for.
But she doesn't win any money.
She doesn't win any money, and she has to pay for the fake chips.
You want to hear? So what Shannon's is? It's a game. You guys. I don't know if she's talked about this before. It's called Covet, and apparently there used to be like when she was a kid, there was like this. You would get like this doll. It was like a physical thing, and like you would like dress it in different outfits. But Covet is She's gonna kill me that I'm talking
It's
about
gonna
this.
kill you, dude.
She's in like a clan for like or whatever they call it. So covet is like you have like a figure and you have to like dress it, give it like an outfit, like it's a woman, and like you give it an outfit, and then like people vote on if it was a good. Wait, why are they having people? If it's a good outfit.
All right, thank you. Please be seated.
So they sent the jury out there.
Wait, I think they must have. But why sidebar if they sent the jury out? That's weird.
What the hell is going on?
Okay, we are back on the record on CR 22211623. We took a sidebar. There had been a concern about potentially some unauthorized recording of the proceedings. The court would
Ooh.
remind all of those in attendance that according to the court's courtroom conduct order, no unauthorized recording of any type, audio or video is permitted. And if you have a device doing that, you may not only be required to leave the courtroom, you could be held in contempt by the court. So I will remind those in attendance here of that. We didn't confirm anything. That was the reason for the delay, is to address that concern. I do want the jurors to know it was only a concern about a potential recording of audio, and also that the delay was not in any way caused by anything done by counsel, the state or the defense here. It was simply us trying to maintain the court's order of the courtroom without unauthorized recording taking place, which again, we have not even confirmed occurred. That was the purpose of the delay. So I apologize for interrupting you, Mr. Pryor. If you'd like to get on with your cross-examination at this point, then you may continue.
And could I inquire the last question just so I know where I was?
Lisa, are you like 5 minutes behind? Lisa just answered my cousin Vinny.
I love.
There was a question actually with a.
You'll see. I'm sure you notice when you do live, it's like some folks will like come in late and like you have made a point like 20 minutes ago, and then like like wait, I just said,
great point.
I love when they're
sustained.
Aspiring court reporter Sarah is known for like all of a sudden she'd be like, oh yeah, and then I'm like, I knew it. She's like 20 minutes late.
20 minutes late.
Objection that was argumentative. And so I think if you just want to start over on a new question, you were talking about the 2019 timeline.
So if I understand on the timeline of 2019, the purpose is to show contact between Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow?
Well, it shows that Lori is paying for Chad's flights, so there is some contact there.
Okay. And we don't know what those flights are for, right?
No.
And how many flights are you claiming he paid or that she paid for him?
On this page here or in total?
Total?
I'd have to review the whole document to see it.
Go ahead. If you need to do that, refresh your recollection, go ahead.
Can I use my exhibit here?
Absolutely, please.
By the way, folks, we don't mind if you come in late and comment. We just appreciate you being here. So,
yeah, we love that you're here. It doesn't matter if you're watching from the beginning. It doesn't matter to us.
We're on the replay crew. We love people who comment. We respond to your comments.
100%.
We appreciate it.
We do. We live for it, Jay. We live for it.
That's like part of my night is I just check out my comments and try to reply as many people as I can. Me too.
All the time. It's usually people telling me that I'm interrupting Allie and don't sass Allie, and
appears to be just 2 flights.
Shoo.
And those would be on the 2019.
What?
I take a beating, brother.
Oh, well, I get the cursing. I get that. Although it's calmed down. Like I feel like people now know. I don't know, but I usually get the cursing. Sometimes I get that. Lately, people have been like I don't like the timer in the beginning. I'm like, what do you guys want? Like you just can't win something.
January and March of 2019, correct?
Yes.
That really has nothing to do with the death of Charles Vallow, does it?
You're right, Sarah. It does. It's a creaker.
Okay. What it has to do is apparently one of them is buying flights for the other, right?
Yes.
And it's not really suggesting anything else other than that, right?
I like it too.
No.
Okay. Did you happen to know the facts surrounding Charles Vallow's death?
I don't know all the facts, but I'm aware of some of them.
And you're also aware that Chad Daybell hasn't been criminally implicated in being charged with any of the matters relating to Charles Vallow, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. So when we're looking at when they met, and at the top where you said Charles Vallow's death, you know, all due respect, officers, this seems to be implying that in some way buying 2 tickets, Lori Vallow buying Chad Daybell 2 tickets somehow implicates him in that. That's not what you're suggesting, is it?
No?
Okay. Now you mentioned, and Judge, could I have Exhibit 34? And I'm going to move for admission of G through, I think it's J. The ones that have not been admitted as of yet. I think A through F have been admitted. The remainder on that.
544 Camp Street giving out 5 memberships. Thank you, sir. Very kind. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome to all the new bows.
At Thrive, I'm asking to be admitted by stipulation of the parties, Judge.
All right, are you gonna, it's on a thumb drive, Mr. Pryor.
Yeah, if I could have the thumb drive, Judge, I can take the exhibit, plug it in, and then discuss what I need to discuss with the officer.
Okay, you can go ahead and plug that in. Before we publish anything, we need to go through whether or not these additional exhibits are admitted or not.
They've been stipulated, Judge, as admission,
Okay,
the state and myself.
so G through J, the state does not object to them being admitted. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. Without seeing it on the screen, I'm not exactly sure what this exhibit is, though. At the
All right.
moment.
If you'll just speak up, if you see something you believe was not admitted by stipulation, I'll rule at this point Exhibit 34 remaining documents G through J are admitted. And Mr. Pryor, perhaps you could make a proffer of what each one is before you publish it, just so the state's aware.
Okay, and Judge, just so the all the parties understand, those are just emails by Alex Cox, or excuse me, emails. Those are searches by Alex Cox in relation to firearms during a pertinent period, and that's what those were. And Judge, they are part and parcel of the mass stipulation regarding all of the contents of, I think it's Homer J. Maximus on exhibit number 34, which by agreement of the prosecution and the state, all of the contents of the Homer J. Maximus account are stipulated to be admissible.
Okay,
May I proceed, Your Honor?
you may.
So, officer, we're going to switch again. You testified about the records as they relate to Alex Cox and the period of time when there were some interest in firearms, correct?
Correct.
And what I heard your testimony, at least the way I took it, is that you're suggesting that that's the only time that Alex Cox ever looked at firearms.
Objection misstates the testimony.
I'll rephrase.
Go ahead.
Are you suggesting that that was the only time that Alex Cox ever looked at firearms?
No.
Okay, so the purpose of identifying firearms during that specific period was just to show that on his purchases, he seemed to buy a lot of firearms at that time.
In that short amount of time, correct.
Okay. Were you aware that he had looked at firearms on other occasions?
No.
Are you aware of anything that would prevent Alex Cox from purchasing firearms?
No.
Were you aware in anything in previous life as it related to Alex Cox, a felony conviction that would prevent Alex Cox from purchasing firearms?
I understand that there was an arrest, but it did not hamper or hinder his ability to obtain firearms.
Okay, and the nature of that arrest was what?
I believe it was a
Your Honor, I'm going to object at this point. I think that pursuant to the court's earlier order, I don't think this can go any further.
Also, Stan,
irrelevant.
it's calling for something that's I've considered irrelevant, but if you want to re-ask the question, Mr. Pryor, as it just relates to the type of charge or conviction.
So there
that's
was a
relating
felony
to that motion
conviction,
in
or there was
limine
a
they just
felony
argued.
conviction of Alex Cox in what year, sir?
Unknown year. I don't know what year it was.
In his previous history.
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of that, you're not aware of whether or not that was a restriction on his ability to purchase firearms. Is that right?
My understanding is that the arrest or the plea agreement or something to that effect didn't violate or hinder his ability to obtain firearms. That's my understanding of it.
Okay. So in other words, the disposition and after the disposition, when he was sentenced and it was resolved, your position is that it didn't inhibit him in any way to pursue or an interest in any kind of firearms.
It's my understanding.
And where did you gain that knowledge from?
I don't recall. It was, I don't recall specifically where I heard that.
Okay.
They'd probably cast Fred Flintstone as
Judge, I'm just waiting for this to queue up.
in the miniseries.
There we are. So again, as part of your, and we may not have to go into this, but as part of your determination, all you were really looking at during that period was an interest in a purchase of firearms in that specific period, correct?
If we were looking for that specifically, but it did, having reviewed the documents for the year of 2019, in that short amount of time, there was some purchases being made.
Okay. But you didn't look back in any other periods, is that right?
No,
You didn't.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We were just looking in a specific time frame for
Okay.
JJ and Tylee.
Okay. And you mentioned a shooting of Tammy Daybell. Is that right?
Yes.
And were you aware that the evidence as far as Tammy Daybell is that she was alleging that it was a paintball gun?
I'm aware of that.
Okay, so how is it that talking to this jury about all these purchases of firearms has anything to do with a paintball incident?
Objection misstates the testimony.
Overruled.
You can answer it, sir.
Repeat the
Spot
question,
on,
please.
Fred
How
Flintstone.
is all of the purchase of these firearms during that period have anything to do with Tammy Daybell having a paintball gun shot at her?
As far as the timeline was concerned, it doesn't, but
Okay.
it was on the timeline of events for the year.
Oh, okay. And you chose which events are on the timeline, right?
There were major events, if you will, for key dates.
Okay. And some of those major events were a paintball gun being shot at you, right?
Yes.
Okay. I at any time during the review of all of the bank records, did Chad and Lori ever have a joint account at any time?
I don't believe they did,
Okay,
even after they were married.
right. They never commingled their money, did they?
Not that we were, no.
Okay. Yet Alex and Lori did, right?
Yes, on that one account, yes.
Okay. Now you talked about Tylee's bank account and how you believe that it was used after what you feel is the date that Tylee had the last known proof of life, right?
What account was that?
Well, it was the account where you talked about the Costa Vida, the 2 trips to Costa Vida.
That would be her BBVA account, yes.
Okay. Did you look into who were the participants in that Costa Vida?
Yeah, we attempted to. I went down in person and met with the managers of both stores. We obtained the receipts for them, and we were asking if they had any kind of video or anything that would show whether it was a take-in or a takeout or a dine-in.
Right.
And there was no video. Too much time had passed for any video feed to show exactly who used the card. But we know when that Tylee's phone was in the immediate area of the self tower footage or the in the range of the cell towers next to the Costa Vida that would fall into that area. And based on when Chad and Lori were detained in Hawaii in possession of Tylee's phone, that led us to believe that it was not Tylee that made that purchase.
Okay.
Supposed to be.
And I appreciate that, but I'm grateful for you to point out that you took the liberty of looking at the GPS information for Tylee's phone. I appreciate that. Did you happen to look at the GPS information as it relates to Alex Cox on both of those days and whether he was at the Costa Vida?
I did not review those.
Would it surprise you that it was Alex Cox at the Costa Vida on both of those instances with Lori Vallow using that particular account? Would that surprise you?
Objection, facts not in evidence.
I just asked him if it surprised him, Judge.
Well, the way it's asked, I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. So you didn't look at Alex Cox's GPS records to determine whether Alex Cox was one of the people at Costa Vida during that luncheon and the use of Tylee's card, right?
I just know that Tylee's phone was down in that
Okay.
area, and that's all I can testify to.
Okay. But you didn't go any further. You had access to the GPS records of those folks, right?
I did not. I would go and ask, and and then information would come back just to follow up on information. That's all. I didn't
Well,
review.
so as part of a law enforcement cooperative with all of these folks, you weren't sharing GPS information with the other agencies regarding Alex Cox's GPS information?
Not a forensic computer analysis.
Okay.
That's not my position at the police department, so
Well,
I didn't have physical custody of that.
Well, and I guess that's why I'm wondering how important this information is that the card was used, because you had the ability to check Alex Cox's phone to determine he was there, right?
The ability?
Yeah, you had the ability to inquire from one of the many agencies working on this thing as to determine who exactly was there, because you had everybody's phones, right?
Tylee's card was used and Tylee's phone was in that immediate area. That's all the information I had.
So you're not looking to suggest by telling this jury that the card was used illegally, that it was people who were engaged in, you're not suggesting Mr. Daybell was there, are you?
That's unknown. I don't know.
Well, and that's what thank you for saying that, because I'm trying to figure out what was the purpose of you telling this jury that the card was used unlawfully. Was it to shed light on somebody, or to maybe create a hunch that maybe Mr. Daybell was there when he wasn't?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
The fact is, you didn't go the extra step to find the unknown as to who was using the card, did you?
I went the extra step and went down to see if there was video of somebody using the card, and just knowing that the record of Tylee's phone being used. There was no other record of Tylee being around. So that's followed up on.
And I think maybe we're not communicating very clearly. So maybe I need to make it a little clearer. I understand you're saying Tylee wasn't there to use that, but you didn't look into who was using it, did you?
Objection, misstates the testimony. He testified that he did look into that.
Sustained.
Okay. You didn't use any additional GPS information to pin down exactly who was there using the phone, did you?
No.
Okay. Now, there's no information to suggest that Chad Daybell took any of the funds from the Social Security of Tylee or JJ, right?
Correct.
Okay. So those allegations have to do with Lori Vallow.
Yes.
So in regards to Chad Daybell, the issues of all that Social Security and then the money that was taken is just a reflection on Lori Vallow. It's not a reflection on Chad Daybell, is it?
Correct.
Okay. Judge, I think that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, that will conclude the cross. Mr. Wood, if you'd like to redirect, you may.
Just very briefly. Detective, just for clarity, was one of your assignments to review the finances of some of the individuals in this case?
Yes,
Were you responsible for GPS data?
no,
Detective, you were asked about on your timeline the significance of Lori Vallow booking flights for Chad Daybell.
yes.
Why was that significant to your investigation?
In the totality of the travel timeline, it shows when they meet and then Lori begins buying Chad's flights, paying for Chad's flights, and then Lori traveling to Idaho quite a few times during that window.
So defense counsel asked you about whether or not Mr. Daybell was traveling for business purposes when Lori booked him those flights, correct?
Yes,
In all your review of the finances, are you aware of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell being in a business together?
no,
But were they in a relationship together?
I believe so, yes.
And counsel asked you about the Social Security funds that Lori Vallow received.
Yes,
Was she married to Chad Daybell when she received some of those funds?
yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And I don't believe that opens up any grounds for recross. So that will conclude the testimony then of Detective Consitis.
All right.
Is this
You
witness
were right,
going to be
Bob.
recalled,
Not
counsel?
very, didn't take a long time.
Your Honor, he will be.
All right.
And he's under subpoena from my office as well, Judge.
All right. So Detective Consitis, then this exclusionary rule still prohibits you from viewing any of the testimony or discussing in your testimony with others that testify in the trial between now and the time you're recalled. I mentioned that because this case is being live streamed, so please don't access or watch the case, and I'll be questioning you as to whether or not you followed this instruction before you return for testimony later, whenever that occurs. All right, thank you.
Just got a $10 PayPal from a Claire.
Woo!
Thank you so much, Claire from London.
Claire.
Thank you so much, Claire.
Love it. Thanks, Claire. Good looking out from the other side of the pond.
$544 asks, has anything been going on in terms of likelihood of conviction? Yesterday, we had a bunch of good Google searches and a lot of good stuff that I think what's his name? Chad's his blessing
Right,
or
bailiff
his
for
ceremony of
clearing
Yeah,
off the witness
blessing,
stand there.
which was
Is the state ready to
powerful.
call another witness?
Slow burn, 544.
Yes, Your Honor.
Slow
Who will
burn.
that be?
The state would call
State's
Michael
case.
Douglas.
Michael Douglas?
Oh,
The actor?
legendary actor, Michael Douglas.
You happen to know what his
Yes.
title is?
Actor, and
The forensic accountant.
and other things.
Okay.
Forensic
Yeah.
account. Oh man.
Oh, my God. Oh,
Come on down.
God.
Forensic
Prepare.
account.
Prepare for the boredom. And then boredom set in.
Ooh, I want to give a little trivia before we do that. Bob, I was listening to it, and I meant to ask you this. I meant to talk to you about this earlier. I was listening to Howard Stern this morning. He was doing an interview with a very famous person. I want to know if you know this trivia.
Mhm.
And I found out in this. I never knew this before. The song by Bob Dylan, "Lay Lady Lay." Do you know who that's about?
Lady, lady. Can I look up the lyrics without?
You can look up the lyrics, but I don't think you're gonna ever guess. I mean, if
Let me see. Let me see.
I'll play
And
this
Your Honor,
while you look
before
it
I
up.
inquire, I do have courtesy copies for the court of his exhibits. And then this goes to the defense.
Okay, I'll have the bailiff submit those
Not his dog. Not.
So shit.
Wow, a couple people know in the chat, but don't look, Bob.
Oh, I won't look.
Good call, folks. I didn't know that. Good. Jan got it. Kim got
All right,
it. I'm in
the witness has now been sworn. Let me just inquire before you begin testifying, based on the court's exclusionary rule. Have you watched any of this testimony that's occurred in the trial thus far?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, have you talked to anyone else about their testimony that they've provided in the case?
Patty Boyd
All
is
right.
what Layla was about. George Harrison's not Patty Boyd, but good guess.
With that affirmation, then, Mr. Wood, if you'd like to inquire, you may.
Wow.
Thank you. And before I do, can I just verify with the court that State's Exhibit
I had
77
no clue.
has been admitted?
Bob, Barbara Streisand.
Wow.
And she was saying that they were both doing clubs in the Village, like they were together in Greenwich Village, and yeah, so that was a little trivia for you folks. Bob Dylan's Lady Lay about Barbara Streisand.
Wow. Did not know that. See? Pay attention.
Yes, it has.
Pay attention.
Okay, thank you.
You learn something new every day. CH, I am a huge music fan.
Mr. Douglas, can you
But I
state your
did not know
name
that.
and spell your last name for the record?
Michael Douglas, Douglass.
What is your occupation?
I'm a forensic accountant.
And who do you work for?
Here's another question for you, a quick one. I mean, this is a forensic accountant. This could be boring as shit, but whenever
Silver City.
Bob, whenever there's a movie that I'm sure you're gonna get, I know you're gonna get this. Whenever there's a person, i.e., Michael Douglas, who has a similar name to like a famous person, is there a movie or a part that you think about where like someone is like has the same name as a famous person and it really upsets him? Can you think about what I'm thinking about?
Of course, Office Space. Man.
Yes, Michael Bolton.
Bolton.
Michael Bolton, and they're all jazzed. They're like, "Oh, Michael Bolton." He's like, his entire catalog. What is he like? What are you a fan of? His entire catalog. Oh man, I love that movie.
FBI or the Federal Bureau of Investigations.
How long have you worked for the FBI?
Nearly 7 years. I'm close enough.
And what work did you do before that?
I was a tax and fraud auditor for the State Tax Commission for 4 years.
Is there a title beyond forensic accountant that we should call you, or is Mr. Douglas okay?
Mr. Douglas is fine.
Okay. And tell me what a forensic accountant does.
We review electronic and financial data, create a financial analysis, provide
catalog.
this information to the investigative team, discuss this with the prosecutors, hold interviews with subjects and witnesses, and testify to our findings.
Right. And when you do a forensic accounting, do you just look at bank accounts, financial records? Do you take other, well, I'll just ask it like that. Do you only look at bank accounts and financial records?
No.
What else do you do?
Individual search history usually provides additional data where they might be banking at. So search history is one. Apps that they have on their phone would be another. So in some electronic data, as well as the financials, provide us additional information where to search records.
Right. And in terms of your investigation overall, do you look at an investigation as a whole when you're doing a forensic accounting to see how the finances might affect other events?
We do, yes.
How did you become involved in the case regarding Mr. Daybell?
My office had been involved with the investigation for a few months before I was inquired to be upon the investigation or in the investigation. I was told that there was a voluminous amount of financial records and requests that had gone out and sought out to review that information.
And so tell us about some of the work you did. How did you get started? What did you do first?
A lot of the work had been done for me before I got on. The PD had sent out multiple search warrants and subpoenas for the financial records, some travel information. And then when I was brought on around March of 2020, a lot of the records were starting to come in and started reviewing just as it trickled in and built a large spreadsheet of whose account, whose transactions these were, what bank they were affiliated with. And it got to the tune of nearly 80 bank accounts and credit cards.
All right.
Savings.
And you said the PD. Can you tell the jury what the PD is?
The Rexburg Police Department. Sorry.
Right. And so you worked for the FBI, but you worked with the Rexburg Police Department at some level in this case.
I did.
All right. And I'm sorry, you said approximately 80 accounts were looked at.
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to ask that can I have the witness be handed State's Exhibit 111?
For $5. If you give me $5, I'll allow you to hand it to him for $5.
$5?
$5 holla.
It's a good deal.
What does it purport to be?
Deal.
This is a timeline that I created regarding Tylee's bank account records, including her JP Morgan Chase account and her BBVA, or as I also call it, her Compass account, and the transactions that took place monthly in each.
Is the full name of BBVA Compass?
It's a Southern bank, but yeah, BBVA Compass is the full.
And so, as part of your investigation, did you do a review of Tylee's finances?
I did.
And what did that entail?
So with Tylee's, originally we had a much smaller, we had to send a supplemental request to get the full data. Tylee was a minor, so she had a bank account with her mother, Lori. And this included what will be noted as in blue as the JP Morgan Chase account, 3918 deposits. Tylee was receiving Social Security, as I'll discuss later, from the death of her father, Joe Ryan. And these deposits, that's what the blue indicates. The orange is indicative of the transactions that were taking place in this account. And then Lori and Tylee opened Tylee's BBVA Compass account ending 5794. The deposits that go into this, I'll explain later. These come from an account that Lori had with BBVA. And then the withdrawals will be noted in red of the transactions that took place starting in August and in March of 2020.
And so on State's Exhibit 111, is this a document you created?
Yes.
And is it is the purpose of this document to demonstrate the level of transactions in these accounts over a given period of time?
It is.
And did you prepare this
I did.
based on those bank accounts you just discussed?
Correct.
And did you do that in preparation for your testimony today?
I did.
Is it your belief that this would aid the jury in understanding the level of transactions over time in Tylee Ryan's bank accounts?
Yes.
And is this a true and accurate copy of what you created?
This is, yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that State's Exhibit 111 be admitted into evidence for demonstrative purposes.
For demonstrative purposes, there's no objection, Your Honor.
Very well. Exhibit 111 is admitted.
And may I publish?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
And Mr. Douglas, you kind of described it earlier, but can you walk us through how you created this document?
So the original data I took from the bank statements that came in from the bank, put that into an Excel spreadsheet, and then basically separated that data out monthly to show deposits and withdrawals that took place within the accounts, and over time, the change in the accounts specifically to August and September.
Chlorophyll?
All right, and this
More
graph
like
represents the
chlorophyll.
number of transactions, correct?
Correct.
Not a dollar amount.
No.
So what did you learn in your investigation as you put this together?
So first, I would like to say Tylee was very responsible with her money. I never saw a negative balance in her account, but this includes the deposits that were coming into her account, specifically from the money she was receiving from Social Security. And then as noted in orange, these were the monthly transactions, basically what I'll refer to as brick and mortar, as well as her electronic. She had electronic payments for her Apple account, her T-Mobile, as well as her Jeep that I'll discuss later.
And so on that graph, on August of 2019 to September of 2019, it appears there's a change in the number of transactions. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And why was that important to you in your investigation?
So Tylee had her JP Morgan account, as did her mother, Lori, had multiple JP Morgan accounts. Tylee was making her payments on time and had no reason for the change in her financial status. As I'll describe later, Tylee's Social Security payments get transferred from her JP Morgan account to her mother's BBVA account, her mother being Lori, to which it stays that way, like it never transfers back. This information in August shows that Tylee opens a BBVA Compass account, but the money that goes into it is transferred to her from Lori. Again, she doesn't ever get the money directly. I will also note that we'll discuss later that she had a job working for her uncle, Jeff Shiflett, Dr. Shiflett at J&S Investments too.
Right, and does that account for some of the deposits?
Yes, earlier in the beginning of 2019.
And again, just to clarify, those numbers just represent transaction numbers, not dollar amounts.
Correct.
Okay. What's been marked as States Exhibit 112.
Judge, could we approach briefly?
Yes.
Negative. Sit down. Negative. Sit down. No, they absolutely have to put this on. But like I was saying earlier, like with Lori, they waited until the very end of that trial to put this stuff on, which, as you can see, it's dry, it's slow, it's it's very technical testimony, a lot of banking records. It's not the stuff that gets your blood pumping, but it's one of the charges, and they got to prove it up. So this is what we get.
I got a question for you, Bob. I don't know if you're the answer to this. Chad's computer, is that like is it restricted? Like, can he just look up pretty much anything he wants on there? Like, he's got his laptop. Like, what is?
I think that is that a laptop?
Yeah, I think so.
Because Pryor's got a screen in front of him as well. Typically in court, if they have a screen in front of the defendant, it's merely a monitor where they're showing what is up on the screen.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think he's able to. But like somebody did say, like I think Lori was saying that he had a computer in front of him and he was looking at shit. So I don't know. I'll ask our other friend of the show if she's seen. It is a laptop, but I've heard there's no internet access. All right, that makes sense. So maybe for taking notes. Yeah, he's watching Netflix.
He's doing what Lori did. He's giving the scale to all the people in the courtroom.
He's watching What Did Anna Do, or whatever that new documentary is. What did Anna do? Jay, people can hear my squeaky chair. You have a nice quiet chair. What kind of chair do you have? Did you get like a gaming chair?
Yeah, I got a gaming chair.
Yeah. I got one in the basement. That sucker creaks too. I don't get it. You really need a gaming chair for comfort, you know?
There are some, I mean, when I was looking, like I got like a lower tier one, but dude, there are some that are like insane. I mean, some of these streamers make so much money that like I could see why that they get them, but
Yeah.
I had an older one. This one is much more comfortable than the one I had.
See, the one that I have has like a really high back. Like you'd be able to see the like for like a headrest.
Yeah, I got that. You mean like this thing?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This one seems like this one that I have is like really huge. It's like a throne. A gaming throne. Kaylin, yeah, says no internet. Yeah, there's no way he's like in there surfing porn, you know, watching old Flintstones episodes. Yeah, I mean, he is definitely Fred Flintstone. Like I was trying to put it up. Could you see it? It's the picture's small. The Fred Flintstones. Like I found like an animated figure of Fred Flintstone that was from like when John Goodman played him in the movie.
Oh yeah,
it was Chad Daybell.
Wasn't Stephen Baldwin Barney Rubble, if I remember correctly?
I think you're right, man. I think you're right. Stevie Baldwin. Yeah, that movie was a gross disappointment. As a Flintstones fan growing up. I mean, and Flintstones is really just the honeymooners, you know, except prehistoric.
Right.
Julia Gulia, can you ask Bob? I can see your. So, just so you all know, Jay and I backstage, we get all of the chats are combined for us. So, whereas unfortunately, y'all, unless Jay is able to put the combined chat up on the screen, which we cannot do because we have the court monitors going for us all to see. But
I mean, we could. This is how it would look if we did.
Yeah, it would be very small. So, but Jay and I can see everything. Like, so if you guys have questions for Jay from our chat, he sees them, and vice versa. So, that being said, if Stacey Peterson's sister really did find what? Julia, I did not hear that. I did not hear that.
Was the co-signer on, and they
Julia,
co-signed on this Jeep April 17th of 2019.
Story about
and Tyler started making those payments June 3rd of 2019. And then as noted below, in July 11th of 2019, this is when Charles Vallow sighs.
Right. And
Dizzy says she thinks so.
Charles Vallow
law
was
enforcement
Tyler's stepfather.
Correct.
They won't go look.
What? No shit. So the backstory is like, I think it was last summer, Drew Peterson's primary attorney reached out to me. And he's been in all kinds of trouble with the bar, like the disciplinary committee here in Illinois, for various things, not anything related to the Peterson case, but you know, he was super aggressive with like, he's like, I know where Stacey's body is, and you know, I want you to, you know, I want you to cover it with me, you know. And I'm like, well, like the one thing that I don't want to do and I will never do is I'm not going to like, I'm like, if you know where it is and you're willing to break attorney-client privilege, you know, like it can't be a situation where you're trying to hold out to get money, dude. I'm like, if you're doing that, then you just tell law enforcement where it is. You know what I mean? So like, I just could not reconcile working with that dude, man. So, cause we just had very different opinions on things. And, but he was claiming, Joe Brodsky's his name. He was claiming that he knew. And I had been in contact with Stacy's sister, because I wanted to reach out, of course, to the victim's family. And I'm like, look, Brodsky's telling me this and that. And she's like, I know he's been saying the same thing to me for a couple of years. And, because the reality is that he still has attorney-client privilege with Drew Peterson. That survives not only the case ending, but it survives death. That's how long attorney-client privilege lasts, which means had Drew Peterson told Brodsky where the body was, which they've never found. Like Stacy Peterson has never gotten justice. Her family has never gotten justice because they never tried him on her case. He was actually tried and convicted for his second wife, who initially, because he was a Bolingbrook cop, for those of you who don't know anything about the sleazy Drew Peterson case, they originally ruled her death accidental, that she had slipped in the tub. And after Stacy went missing, the Will County prosecutor's office said, you know what? I think I'm going to get a court order to exhume Kathleen Savio's body, because I want to have the medical examiner take another look. Took another look. They determined that it was foul play, and then they went to trial, and Peterson was convicted of that. And yet Stacy's case, her body's never been found, as Julia noted. No, I did not hear that, Julia. I hope that's true. I very much hope that's true. And then I hope that we get to see that sleazeball back in court, getting tried for that. So I'm Googling it now, though.
This is still the same timeline, correct?
This is the same timeline.
Can you tell us about the first couple of boxes?
So I was given this information that through Lori's iCloud account that July 18th of 2019, Lori had texted Chad that she would not be receiving life insurance money regarding the death of Charles Vallow, but she would be receiving $4,000 a month Social Security. July 24th of 19, this is the last Social Security payment deposited into Tylee's JP Morgan Chase account, and in 3918.
Okay. It looks like on 8/12/19, this is kind of a different subject. What happened there?
So we found out that Lori had a life insurance policy in her name to the tune of $2 million. And there was a change made on this life insurance policy, making Colby Ryan, Tylee's older brother, the sole beneficiary or 100% beneficiary.
So she didn't include JJ or Tylee on that?
They weren't included, no.
All right. Your Honor, the court had asked us to stop at 2:20.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wood. We will take a mid-afternoon recess at this time. We'll continue on till 3:30 today. To the extent we can keep this break a little shorter, if possible, to get all the jurors accommodated, perhaps 20 minutes, and we could come back on at 2:30.
You want to sit through this?
All rise, please.
Well, Bob, speaking of things that attorney, it's not attorney-client privilege, but did you hear that? I heard a rumor that OJ, when he was on his deathbed, did you hear he had some of the family come in and sign on NDAs, and apparently might have said some things. Anyone hear that? Am I crazy?
I hadn't heard it, but somebody either messaged me or tweeted at me whether or not these NDAs, which I had not heard the story, whether or not those would stand up. I don't know that an NDA survives death.
Well, what I heard was that it's his family, and if they want the inheritance, they gotta shut their but I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, that sounds like a bunch of bullshit. Because you figure, for an NDA,
Jan says no, they do
Yeah,
not.
they do not survive death. I mean, there's no one there to enforce it.
Right.
So, yeah, there's no way. I think that's probably, I think that's probably a bunch of bullshit. It's like, the first thing I tweeted as soon as I heard he was dead, the very first, within 10 seconds, I tweeted, "Oh, I wonder if he made any deathbed confessions." I mean, so I think people are just kind of running with that. And like, yeah, NDAs do not cover crimes. That's for certain. Yeah,
Hey,
boy, this, yeah, so Cassandra Kales is the sister of Stacy Peterson, and so she went out, rented her own equipment that had to come in all the way from Alaska, and it's this sonar machine because she's always felt, even when I was speaking with her, I can't remember if it was last summer or the summer before. Yeah, my Garcia was a death penalty case. And that was in Omaha, Nebraska. Oddly enough, like in the middle of that case, they outlawed the death penalty, and then the governor, who is Tom Ricketts' brother, Ricketts is the owner of the Cubs. He happens to be the governor, or was the governor. I don't know if he still is. Is the governor of Nebraska? He then goes on and forms his own PAC, his own action committee, whatever, and like to put a petition together to get this thing put back on the ballot as a referendum to bring back the death penalty. And he's like, while Garcia is still a pretrial detainee, presumption of innocence, he's out making these speeches. Oh, we need the death penalty for people like Anthony Garcia. And like this, and so the referendum ends up passing. Like the governor's putting his own money into this. It's completely the whole thing. Yeah. Political action committee. Thanks, Travis.
Which, by the way, folks, if when Bob talks about Garcia, you don't know what he's talking about, you got to check out his podcast. Particularly, I mean, I'm assuming people on your channel do, but if you don't, he has episodes on this case, and Babe is like way into it, and I know a bunch of you guys are. So if you're not, you gotta listen to
super deep dive.
just do the little. You can even go on the screen and scan Bob's little code there, and make sure you're subscribed to Defense Diary. That's the main gig, folks. So if you're not already, make sure you check that out.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like reaching out to Cassandra, like she's trying to. So she rents this money. Thanks, 544. Appreciate you. Welcome to the fam. Aw, family hug. So she rents this equipment. She drops it down in this river, this portion of, I believe it's the Illinois River, or it could be the Des Plaines. I'm not sure, but it was the same place that she was telling me that she thought that this is where the body was. And she sends this image. She finds this image of what appears to be a human skull at the bottom of this river. And apparently she brings it, and Vinny Politan ends up, can you explain the first pinned post on my Twitter? Is that the Gacy one, Legal Mama?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So as you know or may not know, I did a Gacy podcast because my father was attorney for Gacy, his trial attorney, one of the two. And my dad, way after the fact, gave me all of his taped interviews with Gacy. Gacy had waived privilege, speaking of privilege, because that's how he felt his lawyers were going to get paid. So then, like, I held on to these things forever. Joe Berlinger, who's a documentarian, had just dropped his Bundy tapes under his Conversations with the Killer thing on Netflix. And, like the night that I watched that, I shot him an email. I'm like, hey, I have some tapes you might be interested in. I then go 9 months trying to negotiate a licensing agreement with these guys. Can't do it. my dad ends up, he's like killing the deal. And that's when I did the pod. So as I'm doing that podcast, we uncover like the incredible actual true story on how the cops ended up getting Gacy within 10 days after him being active for all those years. Des Plaines police, they got him in 10 days. And then, they were tailing him 24/7, but Gacy wasn't committing any crimes. And it was like, so I uncover this thing, and then I reach out to Berlinger's, and I happen to find out that Berlinger has moved on with my pitch, and that he found other tapes from Gacy's last appellate lawyer, Karen Conti, which are not the same thing at all. Like these are like when Gacy's on like a year away from being executed, just completely pontificating the same bullshit you ever see with Gacy. Like my dad's tapes are my dad preparing him for trial. So I let Berlinger's executive producer know. I'm like, hey man, Ted, like I just uncovered, like I just changed the narrative on Gacy. Like we uncovered the incredible true story on like how the cops got him. It's like amazing. And they're like, nah, we got 80% of the stuff in the can. Like Netflix isn't going to pay us to refilm. I'm like, you don't have to refilm anything. You just, at the end of it, you say it like at the end of filming, this incredible story broke. And he was like, he's like, nah, we're good. So I'm like, all right, man. So that was kind of the impetus of that particular that tweet.
Bob, it's pretty wild, by the way. Looking at 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago today. Do you ever think about how like your life would be different if like you were able to work out a deal and you didn't start the pod? Like that's a big moment, right? I mean,
it's huge. It would have been like completely different. I wouldn't be doing this right now. Like none of this would be happening. Well, you know what I mean? I'd probably still just be practicing law, miserable.
So I mean, that's funny. Like, and I bet at the time you're like, you really wanted to work out that deal, right? So folks,
I mean, kind of and kind of not. Like I knew I wanted to start a podcast, but I also knew that I was asking my wife, my partner in all things, life, the law, parent, everything, that I was asking her to take a huge amount of the weight of, our financial side on and running the practice without me, because there was no like limping into it. There was no going in half-assed. It's exactly like what you and I both did. Like, we had the exact same conversation. We both said, babe, it's like, I think I got something going here, like I'll go all in on it. I promise. Like there would be no half-assing. It's like, I want to take this shot. Like, I feel like this is my opportunity to do it. I got to strike while the iron's hot. Like that same convo. And of course, both of our women, being the incredible, supportive, amazing women that they are, didn't even, didn't blink an eye. And they're like, of course, and they support us completely. And both of us have brought them into the fold, and they're both creating too. So it's been, yeah, man, like I think about it all the time, man. I think about it all the time. And it's like the same with you and I, it's like, just like I always have this like fate vibe with like everybody that I've like fallen in with, in this crazy thing that we're doing. And I'm just grateful for it all the time.
Same. I think about it all the time. Like it was during Murdoch, but you just kind of, you retweeted me or I retweeted you, and then we kind of DM'd each other. And man, it's been a wild ride since then.
I know.
We're streaming
how
trials.
long has that been? Is that like 2 years ago?
No, that's what 1 year ago, right? Because it's
was
about,
Murdoch a year ago? I don't like. I have
because I've been only streaming. It was a year we did the.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah, shit, yeah. You just had your 1 year anniversary. Damn.
And
like it's all a blur, bro.
It is. It really is. It really, really is. And for the folks who don't know, I'm not going to say who it was, but for the folks who are on Bob's channel who have probably not heard this story, I knew nothing about true crime. Shannon was big into defense stories. Shannon, she was followed all this stuff. So Bob followed me, and there's a particular personality on like Court TV and other that like I kind of ragged on Twitter, and I'm like, oh shit, is this the guy that? And thank God it wasn't Bob, because Bob has good analysis, so it wouldn't have been anyway. But like, I thought it was him, and I'm like, oh shit, now I feel awful. And thank God. It turned out it was not that person.
Yeah, I like, dude. I mean, the one like, there's a couple of good things that came out of practicing. One, obviously, like the education and the practical experience and the knowledge side of it. So it's like, as much as I kind of cast shade on like how ready I was to be out of practicing, and like, I'm not doing what I'm doing had I not lived that part, that part of my life. I needed that. I needed that to learn how to become a storyteller, how to like kind of have an understanding of the criminal justice system from a very, insider's point of view. But, also like I developed super thick skin because people just hate defense attorneys, and like when I went into the podcast, I had originally told Allison, I was like, man, I don't know if I want to lean into the lawyer thing. She's like, are you nuts? She's like, that's your whole thing. And like, I realized it, I don't know, within like 2 episodes, like, and that's when I started doing it's your favorite time, it's my favorite time. And then just kind of explaining certain aspects about the law, and people really kind of took to it, and they're like, oh my God, I love this. And thank you. And then I started thinking about like when I was practicing and how like I would walk out of a courtroom with my clients and they'd be like, could you just tell me everything that just happened? Because I didn't understand a word of what you guys were saying. And then I was like, yeah, people that like, especially true crime consumers that love this stuff, I think appreciate like having more knowledge, because it enhances their ability to enjoy what they're looking at and having a better understanding. I mean, that's like, it's true with anything. I mean, the more you know, right? So,
Right, but I think that's the beauty of your your podcast and your analysis is like there are plenty of attorneys who are brilliant, but like can't explain it in a way that's digestible for folks who are not, who like when we see them sometimes, these pundits that like they know their stuff, but they're not explaining it in a way that like, and that's what like why your lives are so, particularly regarding Delphi, and you're breaking this shit down so people like, oh shit, now like, because
right.
those documents can be. That's why I have Katie coming on with me to go break down the
Yeah,
like
100%.
there's a lot of language in there, and so
Yeah, man, it's like I really, and I knew that in law school. It's like I had like a bunch of people like, and I didn't know how to take it in law school. They're like, yeah, you know what? You're like the everyman lawyer. I'm like, what the fuck's that mean, man? He's Joe Average guy here. He's like, no, man. He's like, you just have a personality and a way about you that you can relate to people to where they're not going to feel like you're a stuffed shirt, douchey lawyer, And after I started practicing, I realized that was very true, because I would have, and I always took it as a high compliment when people would be like, I never would have guessed you're a lawyer, dude. I'd be like, oh, thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that, because I mean, lawyers can like, I don't have lawyer friends. I just don't. It's like my friends are not lawyers. I'm certainly I'm friendly with some, but like in terms of like my homies, it's just they're not my people. Not typically. It's I find many of them to be unsufferable or insufferable. So it's like I just yeah, I think that was like, I realized that I had the kind of the ability to be able to break it down for people so that they could understand it. And like, when I really kind of understood that I had that ability to do that was when I had hired um, our DNA expert, Carl Reich, on the Anthony Garcia case. And, I was just sitting there struggle bussing with like DNA shit, man, like, the loci and like just, like the peaks and the alleles and all of it. And like Allison's got a mind for science much more than I do. So she was gobbling it up. But what Carl could do is he could break down DNA for like a moron like me in terms of science stuff in a way that I completely understood. And I'm like, man, that's what makes you brilliant, is that I'm going to be able to put you on the stand and you're going to be able to break DNA down so that it's digestible for a jury and so that they understand it, and it was kind of like then when I realized that like, that's what I'm kind of good at. Cause like Allie can come on and she's absolutely brilliant, but like she speaks in legalese a lot, and she like, I'll give her reminders. I'll be like, babe, You know, like, can you translate that? Or I translate it for her because she's just giving us the law. You know what I mean? She's giving us concepts, and which I love, but that's like our shtick. You know, it's like, obviously I could do the same thing, but I love like having her come at people. Like, I've known how brilliant my wife is forever, like since the minute I met her, you know what I mean? And it's been like this hidden secret. So I was so excited, like, that she was willing to come on and start doing this with me. And especially, like, she loves the pod. She's like, I hate being on camera. I'm like, dude, like, how could you not read the comments? Everybody's talking about how gorgeous you are all the time, your beautiful hair, blah blah. I'm like, what
And
do you
how
mean?
brilliant she is.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's been quite a run, dude. It's been quite a run, man. Um, and it's like, and we're just getting started, you know. Like, this thing with like the Delphi thing is like the first time where, you know, like, I'm out there and you know, and I'm not even taking a position on the underlying case, but like, I'm trying to educate people on the process to where I'm like really getting pushback because people keep misconstruing what I'm doing as me being like Alan's innocent thing, you know, and I'm like, that is not what is happening here, you know. So it's like, it's been the first time where you and I were talking about before we went on air where, you know, I just have to avoid Reddit. Like, certain subs on Reddit are like, oh my God. And it's like, like, I read through the comments, I'm like, these people clearly never watch the content, you know, they're
Right.
like going
And
by what somebody else is saying. And
it's a lesson too. Like, you know, if you see certain like tweets or Reddits or like of people like going at people, like sometimes it may be true, but sometimes like just take a step back, do your research before you like Bob said. I've watched almost all Bob's life. Bob is saying like he wants a fair investigation because that's what he's never like, oh, Richard Allen is just, there's no way, like he wants, but then there'll be people who are like, oh, Bob's a shill by the and like they're clearly not consuming the content. They're going by a comment they see somewhere when, like, so sometimes if you see stuff, you know,
The jury's present and accounted for.
All right, thank you. Please be seated.
yeah, yeah, it's, but you know what? It's like, I love it, you know, it's like, I love all of it. And even the negative shit, you know.
Mr. Wood,
Like,
you can continue with your direct.
Thank you, Your Honor.
oh, we're back to the accountant.
there's Bob's link. I just shared it, folks. If you want to, it's the link
I
tree
can
has
continue publishing.
all the links and the YouTube, obviously.
Thanks,
And
Shep.
my dogs are barking at
You
each
may.
other. They're fighting. I'll be right back.
It was not Timu, Sarah. Thanks, Kim.
All right, Mr. Douglas, I believe when we left off, we talked about the box marked 8/12/2019.
That's correct.
Thanks, Missy. Appreciate that. Like,
Tell
more
us about the
than-
next couple of boxes in your timeline.
So on August 14th of 2019, Lori applied for her Rexburg apartment, and on the application, she stated that she was receiving $5,740 Social Security due to a dead husband. 2 days later, August 16th of 2019, Tylee's Social Security payments received a change to be deposited into Lori's BBVA account ending 3229. On August 19th of 2019, Lori and Tylee opened Tylee's BBVA account, which ends in the 5794.
And just really quickly, that is a separate account than the sole BBVA account of Lori Vallow, correct?
Correct. Lori's ended in the 3229, Tylee's ended in the 5794.
Tell us about the box with under
I did meet Allie in law school,
8/28/2019.
yes.
So this is when Tylee's Social Security payments start being deposited into Lori's account ending 3229.
I never
And
yell
what
at
happened next?
never yell at
And
Allie.
then as noted below, we have the move to Rexburg with Lori and the
20
children.
years.
And then on September 8th of 2019, while Tylee received a text message from Colby. Colby was inquiring from Tylee for her to send him some money via Venmo. this was a regular occurrence, to which Tyler responded back that she couldn't Venmo him money because mom gets her money now. On the same day, as I stated before, I don't just review financial records, we review electronic data as well. Noted that Chad had searched the wind direction in his search history, and this is also the same day as the last known sighting of Tyler Ryan.
What do you have on September 9th, 2019?
On September 9th, we discovered an email from Lori to her accountant that she had with her husband, Charles Vallow, gentleman by the name of Mike Edson. He was their tax accountant, and she was inquiring about a tax refund she hadn't received yet.
And the next day?
And then on the next day, on September 10th of 2019, Tylee's BBVA account is added as what's called a funding source to Venmo. In short, Venmo is a person-to-person transfer of funds to which you have to link your bank account or your credit card to it. Tylee's BBVA account had not yet been set up on her Venmo account. It was still would have been drawing out of any funds that were in the JP Morgan Chase account.
All right. And then what's marked for 9/20?
And then on 9/20, the data that was provided to us by JP Morgan, this is when Tyler's JP Morgan Chase account is completely closed.
Thank you so much, Amanda, for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Amanda.
And
Thanks,
the
Amanda.
remaining amount was withdrawn.
She's an always giver.
She is.
What happened on 9/22?
As indicated below, this is the last known sighting of JJ Vallow. There's also text information regarding phones associated with Tylee, Lori, and Colby, where either Lori is messaging one or the other or receiving a message from them in request of starting on 9/22 of 19 and including the other dates, October 1st, October 14th, November 22nd, and November 25th of 19. Of either requesting or stating that a Venmo payment would be sent to Colby.
And who was requesting Venmo payments?
Colby would request them, but these messages specifically were Lori either texting Tylee's account or Tylee's phone saying to send Colby money, or Lori would text Colby saying that she had transferred money into Tylee's account and Tylee would send the money to Colby.
What's the next event?
So on the bottom, on October 9th of 2019, this is a reported shooting at Miss Tammy Daybell. The following date,
Grounds. Response, Mr. Wood?
Sleep well, Amanda.
Your Honor, I think
I'm jealous.
I think the evidence has shown so far that, especially with the way he said that is not an inaccurate statement.
All right, and I agree, looking at the time frame as well, or the timeline exhibit here, I'll overrule the objection.
What happened on October 10th?
On October 10th, so Venmo also provided the IP data regarding the transfers of the funds. And in regards to the IP data associated with Tylee's Venmo account on October 10th of 19, a transfer of funds from Tylee's bank account via Venmo was sent to Colby, with the IP being in Kansas City, Missouri.
And then if you just go through the last few boxes.
And then to finish up, on October 9th of 19, this is the reported death of Miss Tammy Daybell. On November 5th of 2019 being the wedding of Chad and Lori. And then on June 9th of 20 is the date that we discovered the bodies of Tylee and JJ.
And just to be clear, those dates are on there from what you testified to put this financial information in view of the complete timeline and investigation, correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Douglas, we've been talking about Tylee and a financial timeline you prepared for her. In the course of your investigation, did you prepare a similar timeline for JJ and financial information regarding him?
I did.
Did you do that in preparation for your testimony?
That is correct.
Your Honor, I'd ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 113. Mr. Douglas, do you recognize State's Exhibit 113?
I do.
What does it purport to be?
This is a similar timeline, but for JJ.
And you just testified that you prepared this.
I prepared this.
And did you do so in an effort to aid the jury in understanding the financial records regarding JJ Vallow?
That is correct.
And what did you use to create that timeline?
This one, there's similar data on this. Also included are some history from, again, Lori's her iCloud account, the rental agreement, and the Social Security and bank records.
And is that a true and accurate representation of the document you created?
It is.
Your Honor, for demonstrative purposes, I'd ask that State's Exhibit 113 be entered into evidence.
All right. Very well. State's Exhibit 113 is entered and admitted.
May I publish?
Yes.
Detective, is this the financial timeline we just spoke of?
It is.
Where does this timeline begin?
This one, due to JJ not receiving Social Security funds until later into 2019, I started this with the date that is reported to be when Chad and Lori met.
All right, and then what's the next event?
The death of his father, Charles Vallow.
And that was on
July 11th of 19.
Walk us through the next couple of boxes.
Again, Lori texting Chad about receiving the $4,000 a month Social Security, but not receiving the life insurance money. JJ was reported to have an emotional support dog or a support dog of nature. And this on October 9th of 2019 is reported that Lori had posted this dog for sale on Animal Direct. On August 12th of 19, again, the life insurance money or life insurance policy being changed to Colby to the tune of $2 million that did not list JJ on it.
All right, and then and that was the same that was on Lori's, or I apologize, on Tylee's?
On Tylee's, correct.
And what's the next date and what happened then?
On August 14th of 19, again, this is when Lori applied for the apartment in Rexburg. She stated that she'd be receiving the $5,700.
Thank you so much, Lady Bird, for the super chat. Thank you so
Lady
much.
Bird. Amazing.
$40 Social Security.
I gotta get some
and then moving to this information on the bottom, September 1st, the move of Lori and the children to Rexburg. 9/8 being the last known sighting of Tylee. And then on September 18th of 2019, this is when the Social Security payments regarding JJ were deposited into Lori's account.
Then what happened after that?
And then on September 22nd is the last known sighting of JJ. And then to finish out October 9th, again, October 9th of 19, the incident with Tammy Daybell. October 19th being the death of Miss Daybell, Chad and Lori's
I give that our membership. Thank you so much, Lady Bird. You rock. Thank
wedding
you.
on November 5th of 19, and the remains of the children being found on June 9th and 20.
Security, correct?
Correct.
Fair amount of time talking about finances and Social Security, correct?
Correct.
At any time, did you prepare an exhibit that showed the amount of Social Security paid out to that Lori Vallow received on behalf of her children after their last known sightings?
I did.
What did you use to prepare that?
That includes Lori's BBVA account information, solely because that's where the funds were being deposited at the time.
And did you prepare that in preparation for your testimony today?
I did.
And did you do that to aid the jury in understanding the Social Security payments being made in this case?
That is correct.
Your Honor, I'd ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 114. I would note that there is a 114A and
Got about 30 minutes to go, folks. They always end at 3:30 their time. So,
Mr. Douglas, do you recognize
let me
State's
check what
Exhibit
the latest
114?
I do.
Aaron Reed
What does
is.
it purport to be?
This is the Social Security payment table that I created regarding the Social Security deposits being deposited into Lori Vallow's BBVA
Oh,
account.
shit.
All right, and is that a true?
Just an hour ago, day 2 of jury selection for the Karen Reed trial is over. We're told 7 more selected today for a total of 11. They need 16 to start. This might start Friday, man. I mean, 5 more? I mean, this could start
What are
Friday.
they picking? 18, 6 alternates?
He says they need 16 to start.
So in there, they only need 5 more. Wow. Are they
Well,
done for the day?
Day is over. Yeah, I mean, actually, that kind of works out. I mean, either whether it's Friday or Monday,
Yeah.
us doing the Thursday night stream is going to be like perfect timing.
Wow, man.
True and accurate representation of the chart you made?
It is.
Your Honor, I'd ask that for demonstrative purposes, Exhibit 114 be entered into evidence.
Whoops. I just on accident I got the jury questionnaire here, but I didn't mean to turn off the trial. So let me go back. Sorry about that.
For the section for Tylee, what is the first date you have marked?
The first date being October 23rd of 19.
And why is that the first date you put there?
We chose that date, or I chose that date, because Social Security is paid later, or back paid. And I didn't feel that it was fair to include payments in September, even though given the time of death for Tylee, we felt that this was more accurate representation of the funds after the death of the child.
Okay, so that's the first payment she receives after you believe that Tylee is deceased.
Correct.
And for JJ, is that I see a box marked 10/16/2019?
Correct. This would have been the first deposit of his. It is noteworthy that it's obvious that Tylee's deposits were different than JJ and Lori's, to the fact that this is when Tylee's benefits were being deposited into her JP Morgan account and carried forward. That was paid later in the month and on a separate date than JJ and Lori's deposits.
All right.
With the date being October 16th of 19.
And then it looks like you have 2 sections for Lori. Why is that?
I can't testify to the reason that the box with TCS Treasury 449 being less information given to me that it could be due to bad debts. It could be college funds that weren't paid, but it was being docked for some reason, but I can't testify to it.
Okay, but is the reason it's in a different box just that it's a different amount?
Yeah, that's how it's reflected per her bank statement.
And so, and is there a total amount of money received after what you believe to be the deaths of Tylee and JJ?
Yes, the grand total down the bottom right being the $22,545.05.
Thank you. Detective, as part of your investigation and preparation for today, did you prepare a timeline that identifies what you see as the theft of financial funds from the Social Security Administration?
I did.
How did you prepare that?
Again, given the information from bank statements and the Social Security information, the time of death of the children, search history reflected information, text messages, emails.
And is some of that information also reflected in the last two documents we've looked at?
That's correct.
But you've included other information as well.
I did.
Did you prepare that document in preparation for your testimony today?
Yes.
And did you do so in an effort to aid the jury in understanding this complete financial timeline?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 115. Mr. Douglas, do you recognize State's Exhibit 115?
I do.
What is it?
Is what I titled the Grand Theft Financial Timeline.
And is this the document we were just speaking of?
Yes.
Is it a true and accurate representation of what you created to aid the jury in understanding this today?
It is.
Your Honor, I'd ask that for demonstrative purposes, that Exhibit 115 be entered into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor. Thank you.
Exhibit 115 is entered.
And may I publish?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas, can you walk us through the first few steps of this timeline?
I will. Starting again with on April 3rd of 2018, the death of Joe Ryan, and June 14th of 2018, this is when the Social Security starts being deposited into Tylee's JP Morgan Chase account, ending 3918. When Lori opens her BBVA account, ending 3229 on October 23rd of 18. The life insurance proceeds being paid out to Lori on October 26th of 18, also being the same date that Lori and Chad met. The death of Charles Vallow on July 11th of 19. On July 12th, Lori's bank card, Bank of Hawaii, is used to make a payment to Valley of the Sun Mortuary.
Is that every Friday for Chad? I thought it was just because they had a scheduling conflict last Friday, but I guess we'll see.
What'd they say?
And
No, No, Sarah said a no court, but I don't know if that's been announced. I thought last week it was just because like they didn't have a witness, but I'm not sure if that's like he has like motions or something on Fridays. I guess we'll find out tomorrow.
Huh.
This being the same day that Chad calls Valley of the Sun mortuary.
Okay. And then what happened next?
On July 18th of 19, Lori texts Chad about receiving the $4,000 a month Social Security and not receiving the life insurance. July 24th of 19, this being the last date that Social Security is deposited into Tylee's JP Morgan Chase account ending 3918.
You walk us through the first couple of boxes there.
On August 12th of 19, this being the date of the change to Colby for the life insurance of Miss Lori. On August 14th of 19, Lori applying for the Rexburg apartment, stating that she's receiving the $5,746 in Social Security. On August 16th of 19, this is when Tylee's payments are changed to be deposited into Lori's BBVA account ending 3229. On August 19th of 19, Lori and Tylee opened Tylee's BBVA account ending 5794. On August 28th of 19, this being the date that Tylee's Social Security deposit or payments being deposited into Lori's BBVA account ending 3229. Lori and the children moving to Rexburg on September 1st of 19. The text messages from Tylee to Colby that mom gets her gets her money now. And this is also the date that Tammy's life insurance with LifeMap was increased on September 8th of 19. And also this being the same date, the last known sighting of Tylee Ryan on September 8th of 19.
And what happened on the 10th?
On November 10th of 19, Tylee's BBVA account is as the funding source to her Venmo account.
And what happened on 9/18 of 2019?
On 9/18 of 19, this being the date that Lori and JJ's Social Security funds start being deposited into her BBVA account ending 3229. On September 22nd of 19, the text messages referring to the Venmoing money to Colby, also being the last known sighting of JJ on September 22nd of 19.
Then if you can move to 10/9/19.
On 10/9, this being the date of the attempted shooting on Miss Tammy. On 10/10, this being the Venmo activity that took place in Kansas City, Missouri regarding Tylee's Venmo account. The death of Miss Tammy on October 19th of 19. Chad and Lori's wedding on 11/5 of 19. We recovered an email to a rental company named Quiet Dreams on 11/8 of 19, where Chad was inquiring, stating that they were a clean couple with no kids and no pets. On December 20th of 19, this is when Rexburg announced the investigation. January 3rd of 20 being the first search on Chad's property, and June 9th of 20 being the second search where we recovered the remains of the children.
Mr. Douglas, those last several exhibits dealt primarily with the Social Security funds of Tylee and JJ. Did you review financial documents related to Chad Daybell?
I did.
What documents did you look at?
Primarily his Mountain America Credit Union account, including his personal and the business Spring Creek account. but there was also credit cards that were included that we found that we researched as well.
All right. And did you also look at life insurance?
Oh, yes, the life insurance for Tammy, the 2 policies.
Detective, in preparing for your testimony today, did you... Your Honor, if I could have one moment, I think I have the... All right. In preparation for your testimony today, did you prepare another financial timeline that focused more on Chad Daybell?
I did.
And did you do that in preparation? Well, I just asked that for your testimony today. Did you do that in order to aid the jury to understand the financial documents and time frame in which these transactions took place related to this case?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 116.
All right, thanks.
Mr. Douglas, do you recognize State's Exhibit 116?
I do.
What does it purport to be?
This is a financial timeline regarding Chad and Tammy's finances to also include information regarding Lori and life insurance and travel information.
And is this this is the document we were just previously speaking of?
Correct.
Is this a true and accurate representation of the document you created?
It is.
Your Honor, for demonstrative purposes, I'd ask that State's Exhibit 116 be entered into testimony.
No objection.
Into evidence. I apologize.
Exhibit 116 is entered and admitted into evidence.
May I publish?
Yes.
Mr. Douglas, can you walk us through the first few steps of this timeline?
I can. October 3rd of 2018 being the first date that I can report that Chad Daybell had purchased a prepaid phone. October 26th of 18 also being the date that Chad and Lori met. On February 23rd of 19, Alex's Barclay card was used to purchase a flight from Lori, or for Lori to Idaho Falls. March 14th of 19, Lori's Barclay card is used to purchase a flight for Chad to Arizona.
To be clear, that Barclay account, that was Alex Cox's account that she had a card on, correct?
Correct. Originally, it was just in Alex's name, but in March, Lori is added as a card holder to where she had her own card on Alex's account.
All right. And what happened next on your timeline?
April 22nd of 19, Lori paid for Chad's flight to Houston using her BBVA account. May 31st of 19, prepaid phone purchase by Chad. Also June 17th of 19, another prepaid phone purchase by Chad. The death of Charles Vallow, July 11th of 19, Lori's Bank of Hawaii card being used to make the payment to Valley of the Sun Mortuary, and Chad calling Valley of the Sun Mortuary. On July 18th of 19, Lori texting Chad that she'd be receiving the Social Security, but not the life insurance money.
What do you have marked for July 20th of 2019?
That is the day that Lori used her Bank of Hawaii card to purchase a flight for Chad to Arizona. This took place again August 2nd of 19. Lori's Barclay card is used to purchase a flight for Chad to Arizona. August 10th of 19, Lori's Barclay card is used to purchase her flight into Idaho Falls.
And just for clarity, is the Idaho Falls airport the closest airport to Rexburg, Idaho?
That I know of, aside from flying directly into Rexburg.
Well, let me rephrase that. Is it the closest airport that you can take commercial flights into?
Yes.
Okay. If you can go through the next couple of slides.
On September 1st of 19, this being the move of Lori and the kids to Rexburg, Miss Tammy's increase of her life insurance on September 8th of 19 regarding Life Map, also being the last known date, last known sighting of Tylee. On September 18th of 19, Chad purchased another prepaid phone. On September 22nd of 19, this being the last known sighting of JJ. On October 8th of 19, Chad initiated a refinance with Wells Fargo. On October 9th of 19, the attempted shooting with Miss Tammy. October 19th of 19, Tammy's death. On October 24th of 19, this is when Chad filed with the life insurance company Primerica, and this is when he canceled the refinance with Wells Fargo. And October 30th of 19, Chad files his life insurance claim with Life Map.
You can start us on November 1st, 2019.
On November 1st of 19, Chad received his final check and resigned from LDS Avow.
If you can pause, what is Avow? LDS Avow.
LDS Avow, the Chad would write a column for LDS Avow. Mr. Chris Perrett is his business that he oversees, and he would give Chad a percentage of the fees that he acquired regarding those that would read Chad's column.
And November 5th.
On November 5th, this being the wedding of Chad and Lori. On November 18th, Chad purchased a SIM card and a total wireless phone card. November 29th of 19, this is the trip to Knott's Berry Farms. The information that we acquired from Knott's Berry Farms included a ticket for Chad, 5 of his kids or in-laws, as well as one for Lori. December 20th, 19th.
On those financial records, did it list the names of who those tickets were purchased for?
So Knott's Berry Farms was able to produce copies of the tickets that included the names of the individuals. December 20th of 19, Rexburg announced the investigation into Chad, let me restate that. December 20th of 19, Rexburg PD announced the investigation. I also noted that Chad had transferred $1,000 each to 3 of his older children, specifically the children that lived near him in the Rexburg area.
And when you say the Rexburg Police Department announced an investigation, what investigation did they announce that day?
At this time, it was the missing of the children. The children were missing at this time and trying to locate the children.
And on January 3rd?
On January 3rd of 20, this being the first search of Chad's property, I also noted that there were 2 transfers to Chad's middle son, Seth, from one being from his business account, one being from his personal account with Mountain America, to the tune of $1,500 to his son, to his son Seth that day. March 6th of 20, this is the date that Lori was extradited from Hawaii to Idaho. On March 8th of 20, Chad sells his Dodge Dakota and his Chevy Equinox to his two daughters. They both reimbursed him $200 each for both vehicles. And on June 9th of 20, we discovered that Chad had transferred $8,000 each to his three older children that lived in the area the morning of the search, and this being the same date that we located JJ and Tylee's bodies on the property.
Your Honor, they're already in evidence. I'm going to ask to publish States Exhibit 77G and H.
Okay, since they've already been admitted, they may be published.
9 more minutes of this borophyll.
Chlorophyll? More like borophyll.
Mr. Douglas, do you recognize States Exhibit 77G?
I do.
What is that?
This, can you scroll or bring it down just a little bit? This account ending 3007 would have been Chad's personal account with Mountain America.
And why was this document of interest to you?
So again, with the date right there, June 9th.
Do you have a pointer?
I do.
You could point to
Yeah.
what you're speaking about.
2 hours later.
So June, yeah, twist this here. So on June 9th, there was a transfer of the $10,000 in.
What?
Jay yawn. This is great. Miyabito said this is perfect napping testimony. It is. And then I saw you yawn, and you know how yawns are contagious. So
Contagious AF.
yeah,
This is tough, guys. Thanks for sticking it out with us. We appreciate it. We know
To Chad's from his Spring Creek book account that he had that we'll discuss in a second. The 10,000 making the balance, this 20,000 and change here, and then transfers to his son Seth on June 9th to the tune of $8,000, and then another transfer June 9th to his the account is in the name of Joseph Murray, but this is also his oldest daughter Emma's account for $8,000 as well, leaving an account balance of the $4,400.
And this is still 77G, second page. Was there anything of note to you regarding your investigation on this page?
So this one shows the savings account that was associated with Chad's personal account. And on the same date of June 9th, a transfer to his oldest son, Garth Daybell, an $8,000 transfer that date as well.
Get your rested now, folks, because this just wait to Karen Reed. I don't think there's going to be many
This
moments
is
of
77H.
boredom in that one.
Do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is the transfer data that Mountain America was able to provide regarding the transfers of the 10,000 into the account that I just spoke of, and then the 3 transfers to the 3 oldest children. And it also includes the date and time of the transfers.
And so I think you've already testified that the date was June 9th, correct?
Correct.
What time, and if you can point, I understand it's small, to the time those transfers were made.
Again, with this thing here. The transfers taking place right here in this area here, right around 9:50 in the morning. And as indicated, they took place Mountain Standard Time, so it would have been 9:50 local.
Your Honor, I have just a couple more exhibits with this witness. but I think they'll probably take more than the 6 minutes. It would probably be easier to just start with them in the morning. I understand that's 6 minutes early, but I think this would be a good place to stop and continue in the morning.
Okay, I think that makes sense as well, Mr. Wood. Thanks for
thank
watching
God.
the clock on that.
Thank
We will
God.
conclude with evidence for today then, and I'll go ahead and announce our schedule as well
Yes, let's get
for
the schedule.
tomorrow, the rest of the week.
Here we go.
We'll continue on with the same schedule basically tomorrow as well as Friday, 8:30 to 3:30.
So much
And
for the Friday off.
I do want to, of course, again, advise the jurors before we break for the day to please follow the court's admonishing instruction to not look into this case in any way while you are home for the evening. Don't do anything to research it. Don't discuss it amongst yourselves or with anyone else. And with that, is the state ready to conclude for the day?
Yes, Your Honor, if that's all right with the court.
Yes, anything further from the defense? Okay, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, that have been in attendance today for abiding with the court's conduct.
All right, folks, but just believe you guys. If Karen Reed does start Friday, we're going to Karen Reed. Like we'll catch up on
Pivot.
We're gonna pivot whenever Karen Reed goes live. We're gonna cover that, so don't worry. But also, we're gonna give you recaps with Shannon and Allie on Daybell as well at night. So we're gonna have you guys covered. Bob, for the folks who weren't here this morning, tell them about what you got going on tonight.
Tonight, 7 Central, daylight savings time. I am having one of the amazing hosts of the Generation Y podcast on tonight. We're going to talk all things true crime. If you have never listened to Gen Y, it's amazing. They are literally the godfathers of true crime podcasting. Like, they are first dudes, like just a couple of dudes, buddies that decide, hey man, I heard of this podcast thing. I think we should like talk about true crime on a microphone. And then 12 years later, those guys are still around and crushing the game. So I'm going to have Aaron on tonight. Really looking forward to it. It should be a great show. We were talking, we want it to be as organic as possible. It's not going to be so much a Q&A as much as just a great convo. So yeah, and like anybody who's in the chat, you know, I always look at the chat. If you guys have questions for Aaron, hang in there, you know, and I think I will absolutely be able to get to those. And do I think I'll have time to discuss the Adnan Syed thing? I mean, it's a plan. Like, I'm definitely, I told Bob I'd do that. I don't know, like Bob Ruff had wanted me to come on and discuss the Syed thing. Like, the prosecutors had put out a podcast saying that they think he's guilty, and Bob Ruff lost his shit, and he did a kind of a reply brief to them, going episode through episode, and then they had a falling out, and Bob had asked me to come on and kind of mediate, you know, but he just really wanted to kind of get my opinion on it. So yeah, that's the plan. I still plan on doing that with Bob. When, I'm not sure. So yeah, tonight, 7 p.m. I have also portaled you guys. I've redirected you. So when this ends, it'll shoot you into that live tonight. Throw a like on there. Get it into the algorithm. Let's get the thing out there. We think it's going to be a great show. So we'd love for you to join us. Definitely.
Yeah, so check that out. And then tomorrow we'll be back regular time. We'll continue to keep an eye on Karen Reed. We'll let you guys know what's going on.
Shoo!
And
by the way, Jay.
Yeah, and what we're going to do, folks, if you didn't hear us discuss this previously, we're going to do like my channel, Bob's channel, my chat. Like, we're going to do this way. You're all in the same chat. Like, you can all chat together. All the mods are in the same chat in case we have some jabronis come in, but we'll be fine either way. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So
it's going to be great. I'm super looking forward to it. I don't anticipate many slow witnesses like this in that trial. No. I think it's going to be.
And you're going to be able to see the witnesses and see the attorneys.
Yeah, which helps. It's like you don't think about that until we don't have it, you know, like how really much it helps to be able to, like, because we're staring off in a distance and you're kind of listening. It's almost like we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. And again, we'll say it to the end of the time, but we'll be enjoy the respectful conversation. We'll kick out anyone that's jabronis, but also we're gonna have we're gonna evaluate everything that happens as it happens. The witnesses, the attorneys, and we may not agree. I mean, me and Bob may not agree.
Totally.
Me and Shannon may not agree. But that's what we want.
That's what makes it so fun.
Right.
And we're guaranteed to have a bunch of special guests pop in with us. It's going to be great coverage. We promise you we'll crush it. So spread the word.
Yes.
Let's get this chat just cram packed with awesome humans, and let's enjoy what is sure to be one hell of a trial.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is like way national now. Like this is a big deal out there, folks. So
big deal. It's a big deal. Plus, we're getting the Boston accents to boot.
Yeah,
what's better than that?
Sponsored by Duncan and Sam Adams. So
I love it. All right. Well, we love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging with us. We know today was a little chore for y'all out there because, like, aside from our two accountants in the chat, I think everyone else.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised that he used that kind of calculation there.
But for the rest of us, a little slow, but necessary evil. They want to get them on all the charges, so they got to put this stuff in there. So, but we thank you guys so much for your support. We thank you so much for hanging with us. We adore you guys more than you'll ever know.
And mods, thank you guys, crushing it as always.
Always.
And we'll catch you tonight, and then we'll catch you tomorrow. So, good night, everybody. Hit that like on the stream.